really been enjoying like looking at your website and just like, all the wonderful pictures and, like learning about like history and stuff, everything that I wasn't even familiar with.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So, I'll introduce you and we'll just go into questions. So I'm here with Tammy Gibson, who is an entrepreneur, travel historian, and educational speaker. Her mission is to raise awareness, impact the youth, and preserve pride in African American culture through a personal journey. She is the author of the book Honoring the Legacy, a guide of African American monuments and statues, which will be released on September 15th.
Yeah.
So, how are you doing today?
Oh, thank you. I'm doing great, and thank you for having me on your show.
Oh yeah, like most definitely and stuff, everything. I saw like the article on Black News and I was reading it. It sounded very interesting. And then I was checking out your website.
Mhm.
I read there's over 500 statues of African Americans that have contributed to this country.
Yes.
I didn't. I don't even know if that's something that many people are cognizant of. Really.
Right, because basically, because I'm a travel historian, I mean, I travel all over the world locating African American historical sites. So it can be historical homes, slave plantations, cemeteries, markers and land, markers and just anything that's Black that pertains to our history. I'm out there locating them. And I was taking a picture of a statue, and it just hit me, and it was like, I wonder how many statues of African Americans are around the United States. So from there, that point on, I just started traveling. So every place I went, I tried to look for African American statue. And as of today, I've located over 500. Statues, because I feel it's important. And in this trying time where Confederate statues are being torn down, starting with the Charleston Nine that was murdered, that pretty much sparked the conversation of these Confederate monuments, and then it died down a little bit, and then you was hit with the Charlottesville with the Robert E. Lee statue, and you saw the white supremacists with the tiki torches saying, blood and soil, and Jews won't replace us. And then it died down a little bit, and then you have the murder of George Floyd. And now everybody, wants to have these Confederate statues take down, because to me it symbolizes hate, it symbolizes oppression, and to honor Confederates that lost the war doesn't make sense to me to honor these statues that are sometimes in the schools are named after them, and these monuments are in African American neighborhoods. So that's why I wanted to travel and locate these African American statues, so people can see the contributions that our people have, contributed to the fabric of this country.
Yeah, I think that's just like such an idiotic argument. And you see a lot of conservatives argue about like, these Confederate statues and stuff, and everything. And
Mhm.
I've always, found that to be like horrible. Like I've lived in Mississippi, and like there would actually be like, schools named after Jefferson Davis and stuff, everything. I
Mhm.
thought that was like, personally, like, something and stuff that offended me as a person of color. And,
Mhm.
even like being in a courtroom and like there's Confederate flags. But one of the things and stuff I've seen with the protesters, the protesters, or vandals, they've been vandalizing monuments such as, the Shaw Memorial, like here in Boston, which
Mhm.
captures the likenesses of the first, African-American voluntary infantry unit.
Right.
And I don't know how you feel, obviously, but I'm not going to cry over a Confederate statue being vandalized or torn down. But, these are people of color. So was that the inspiration behind your book, helping, people understand, these monuments?
Exactly. And like I said, you see these African American statues. I mean, I just wanted to people to see the actual beauty, because not only do these African American statues are beautiful, but they also brings pride in the community. So that really that was the importance of me to write this book. Also, about my personal journey, as far as being an African American historian, and also like locating statues, the history of the Confederate monuments, because these monuments were put up after the Civil War and during Jim Crow. And then my favorite chapter of the book was interviewing some of the most amazing Black artists. And out of the 500 statues that I've located, less than 100 were designed by African Americans. And to me, that's a problem. And my interviews with these artists, they talk about their passion, for passion of being an artist, but they also talk about the struggles of being a Black artist in a white male dominant arena. So to them, based off their interviews, to me, it was more about the quantity of the statues than the actual quality. Because I've been to some statues like Martin Luther King, and I'm like, okay, who the hell is this? This don't look like Martin Luther King. So that has been part of the frustration of the artists that I've interviewed. And that's a couple of days ago. I live in Chicago, and there's a young man. His name is Maxwell M. Case. He is a promising young artist, and I interviewed him. And he was talking about he does pop-ups around the Chicagoland area, and he said he does pop-ups because they won't allow his art to be in the museum. And his art is called demand justice. As far as things that are going on in the Black community. And he had two big statues, one of Martin Luther King and one of Malcolm X. And how some people are accepting of his artwork, and some people find it offensive and uncomfortable. And he says that he should not have to do a pop-up. They should allow his artwork to be in these museums, because there's no right or wrong way when it comes to art. It's all in a person's mind. And those are just some of the struggles that a lot of the Black artists that I've interviewed have been dealing with for years.
Man, that's incredible. And I was looking at your gallery. You have some amazing photos. Mm-hmm. And one that really struck my attention was like you actually slept in the slave cabins at the mm-hmm. Stagville Plantation in Durham County, North Carolina. What was that experience like?
Well, it was a very humbling experience. The Slave Dwelling Project that was founded by Joseph McGill, he's slept in over 100 slave quarters. And I got connected with him. But my first experience was, just laying there, just imagining how did they endure a lifetime in bondage. Either you're sleeping on a wooden floor, you're sleeping on a dirt floor, and it's in the middle of the night, it's pitch black, you hear animals in the middle of the night. Sometimes it's hot, sometimes it's cold, and I'm laying in a sleeping bag. Not saying it's, compared to what our ancestors went through, but a lot of things go through your mind. It's like, this is the floor of the ground where they cried on, they slept on, so it's a very humbling experience for me to honor, our ancestors of the shoulders that we stand on today.
Wow. And the motto on your website is Black history isn't just 28 days. Do you feel, the people like overall are just getting the concept of, how instrumental that Black people were in like, the foundation of this country?
Yeah, because I put that, Black history is more than 28 days. And some people are, finally getting it. But like, for instance, when people want to do presentations, they only want me to do it in February. And I'm completely booked in February, but I'm like, hey, I'm available March through January, So our history is more than 28 days. I'm sure there's someone right now, one of our people's making history as we speak. So not only do I talk about Black history being only 28 days, but also we need to talk more than Malcolm X, well, not Malcolm X, because people don't want to talk about that, but Martin Luther King, Harriet Tubman, Rosa Parks. So those are like the safe people that they want to talk about every Black History Month. But there's so many unsung heroes and sheroes like Fannie Lou Hamer, Diane Nash. I mean, there's so many unsung African Americans we need to talk about, that we should talk about, instead of talking about these three people that people feel safe and comfortable about talking about.
I was watching like, in the gallery too, I saw like, as far as like the Fred Hampton tombstone, where it's actually riddled with bullets. And then you were at a cemetery where it looks like it's like, it's part like garbage dump and like part burial ground. How important is like preservation and stuff, or anything for these monuments?
It's very important. And that's where I use my platform, that when I see something that I feel is offensive, I post it. So if someone like Fred Hampton is buried in Louisiana, I post that, to let people in that city know, hey, but a lot of people know that his headstone is shot up, and maybe they want to keep it there because even in death, he's considered a threat. And some cemeteries I've been to, they use it as garbage dumps, and that's why I post on social media, because there are a lot of cemeteries that do a lot of cleanups, to preserve the beauty of, African-American cemeteries. But I also try to locate cemeteries that have been buried on top of like a shopping plaza or a playground. So those are some of the things I like to post to raise awareness about, our history matters, and look what they're doing to our history.
Also, I've noticed that you've traveled to Africa. I wanted to know about like your experience there.
Man, my first trip was to Egypt, and I went with, I was a student at Chicago State University. I went with Howard University, Miles College, and Northeastern Illinois University. So it was just the most amazing experience. I mean, the anticipation of just getting off that plane and touching the African soil, it was just one of the most amazing experiences. And actually, that's what started my travels all over the world. Because once I left Egypt, I was like, there's so much more to explore. And I mean, it's just, get off the plane and the first African you see, they say, welcome, my brothers and sisters, welcome home. And then right then, it was just like, and then, they lost my luggage. My luggage was still in New York for 2 days, but I said, I'm not going to let the devil steal my joy. I'll just wash my clothes. For the next couple of days, I'm in Africa, so I am not complaining. But I mean, I've been to, Senegal, Gambia, South Africa. Next year, hopefully, with the pandemic, I'll be able to go to Kenya next year. But my goal is to go to every country in Africa. So I tell anybody, don't listen to what you see on TV,
Right.
About, Africa. Go for yourself. Go see the beauty. I mean, it's absolutely going to change, what you feel. I mean, it's just such a amazing experience. When people ask me, about Africa, I just light up and smile. And I tell people, just go. Just pack up your bags and just go.
Well, that's beautiful, and I look forward to actually reading your book, A Guide of African American
Yeah.
Monuments and Statues, which will
Mm-hmm.
be released on September 15th. What's next?
Well, I will continue doing my traveling, and I am looking to maybe start writing another book. One of my heroes is Diane Nash. And that's something I might look forward to doing. And another goal that I want to do is open up a museum, a Black museum in my city. So that's another goal of mine. But everything I do, I love our history. I mean, we are resilient people, and I just like to not only educate myself when I go through all these travels, but also educate others, to go see these places, because the places of our ancestors, the places of our people are important.
Oh, thank you so much, Tammy, for taking the time. I really appreciate you sharing your journey, and your
Thank
book
you.
looks really interesting. Where can people get the book online?
Yes, you can purchase my book at Walmart, Amazon, and Barnes and Noble. And it's Honoring the Legacy, A Guide of African American Monuments and Statues.
Thank you so much. You have a
Thank
nice
you.
day.
Thank you.